Namaskar. Welcome to Conversations with Rakesh. Here's today's question. Rakesh, I'm a senior technical architect and I'm under pressure to take up a leadership role in an organization. What are your views? Is it important to be a manager and leader? Um, I must tell you that this question is connected to a slightly more philosophical question that should one become a hero all the time? Is it okay to be a hero? Or, sorry, is it okay not to be a hero? And many years ago, I had written a blog on it that many of us, in fact, all our popular culture, it starts from stories which we are told in our childhood. And I'll tell you the story that I heard, and I'm sure you would have heard. Somebody would have come to your class when you were a child and asked you, who was the first man on the moon? And most of us would crack it, Neil Armstrong. Who was the second man on the moon? Not everybody would know it, but definitely lesser people would know that, okay, it was Buzz Aldrin. But then, who was the third person who went in that same mission but did not go to the moon? And very, very few people would remember that person's name. And that's an astronaut, the third astronaut. And the problem is, I'm pretty sure that this story is taught to be the Neil Armstrong, that be number one. I mean, I don't think any teacher will say that be the number three astronaut. The same thing happens in almost our education system, our corporate system. Everything is geared to be the best. And then when you look at organizational cultures, when you look at movies, popular culture around us, how do we look at a movie poster? The hero, the alpha male or the Wonder Woman is the center, big face. And the supporting people are all, behind them. Now, nothing wrong in it. But the point is that if you are joining an acting school, your teachers and your society will probably start putting pressure that, hey, be the actor, be the hero of the movie or the heroine of the movie. But I think what we don't realize is that it doesn't matter if you're the hero or heroine. What matters is the craft, which is the acting. And that is important and we miss it. So coming back to your question, should you be a hero? Is it okay not to be the hero? And the answer is resounding yes. The world, अगर सब लोग हीरो हीरोइन बन जाएंगे तो काम कौन करेगा? You need everybody to make that movie successful, including the main character who we call the hero or heroine. And without the supporting cast, this hero will not work. And I must tell you that there are a lot of good movies, a lot of good examples where the supporting cast was more important than the main actor. And I'll give you 3, 4 such examples. The first example, which I wrote in that blog also, is a movie called Dangal. And in that, there was a brilliant character called Omkar, played by Apar Shakti Khurana. What a delightful character and what wonderful role he played in that movie. He was this, very nice cousin of the two girls who was being, and Amir Khan would groom them for kushti, dangal. But they needed a worthy opponent to practice. They need two girls. Who would you practice? So the answer is their immediate cousin, like a brother. And throughout that movie, that concept is mind blowing to me. And Apar Shakti Khurana played a brilliant role. He was not the main face of the movie, but without him, would not have enjoyed the movie. So I give a lot of respect to roles like Apar Shakti Khurana, that they are not the main hero. They are equally important for the success of the movie. And you need to be comfortable with that concept. Ki I'm not on the poster, but without me, the movie will not work. And I want to do this because I love acting. It doesn't matter if I'm the lead character or the supporting character. To me, that's where the problem comes. कि हम लोग इन टाइटल्स को बहुत ज़्यादा भाव देते हैं because of the societal culture and the norms around us. And if you start to understand, and it's a personal choice, some of us want to be the lead character for whatever reasons, but there are many of us who don't want to be. I mean, my parents are a great example. They could have been very successful in their career, but they decided not to. They said, we'll be good parents and we'll take supporting roles in our career and we'll do whatever it takes to help the main persons be successful. And I've thought that is such a liberating concept. And I'll give you few examples from my own life. Deep inside, I also want to be the CEO, because who doesn't want adulation, affirmation? But if you look at the best characters, best projects of my life, they were not about my success. I was part of a team where there was a great manager, and I supported that manager. And I loved it. It was liberating. And it was their responsibility. I just had to play a big role. So it is absolutely okay not to be the alpha male or the Wonder Woman of the room. It's very liberating to take a step back, knowing that your role is very critical in that whole game. And if you love that craft, which Apar Shakti Khurana calls, or the movie's acting, Dangal, if you act your part and you enjoy it, you don't need to be the hero. So that is example number one, Dangal, the character of Omkar. Example number two, all-time favorite, Circuit and Munna Bhai. All of us would remember Circuit. In fact, Munna Bhai would not have been Munna Bhai without Circuit. No matter what, kuch bhi kar lo. I think to me that movie was Circuit, and the role he played, and Mr. Dependable, and his dialogue, "Kya re bhai tension nahi lene ka, tu fikr nahi karne ka, tu padhai kar, main kaam karwa dega." There is this hilarious scene where Munna Bhai needs, I think there's a class of anatomy, and you have to take a cadaver, which is like a dead body, and you have to dissect to learn the parts of the body. And there's only one body, and Munna Bhai calls Circuit कि यार एक body चाहिए, and it is such a hilarious scene. And Circuit कह रहे तू पढ़ाई कर, तू tension मत ले, मैं body लेके आता है. To me, that feeling to have a person, Mr. Dependable, in your life is so good. And sometimes you have to ask yourself that you may have a CEO, but if the CEO calls you when he needs or she needs the dependence, I think that's the role you play. To me, that role is more important than being called the CEO or the alpha male or the Wonder Woman. And if you have that role, what a tremendous job you have done in your life, and you're comfortable with that. So Circuit, Munna Bhai, not the hero, but without that person, the movie would have been a disaster. Role number three was this brilliant movie called Spotlight. I think it won some Oscars. It was the story of child abuse in the church in Boston. It was a famous true story inspired by true events, where there's a lead journalist who's writing an article, and there's a group of journalists. They do this spotlight in a famous newspaper. And in that movie, there is a character which is played by one of my favorite actors called Stanley Tucci. And he did an amazing job. He plays the role of a lawyer, unknown, nobody knows him, and he only works with the victims of the abuse, because nobody wants to deal with that. All lawyers want famous celebrity cases. They want to work with Wall Street people. They want to work with corporates, because paisa hai or limelight hai. But this guy, he doesn't want to. He says, if I don't do it, kaun karega? So he takes up these cases and really helps them. Sometimes takes the role of a counselor, and listens to their stories, brutal stories, because nobody else wants to do that. Nobody wants to fight the system, and he does it, and he does a fantastic job in that movie. The name of that lawyer is, I think, Mitchell Garabedian, played by Stanley Tucci, and you should watch that. But again, brave heart of some sort. And the role he played was vital to the organization and the story and the movie. And without him, the story would have been very, very incomplete. So let's go back to your question. Is it okay not to be a hero? The answer is yes. And it boils down to one fundamental question that you must answer. That are you in this job for the title and the adulation and the admiration and the limelight? Or are you in this job because you enjoy doing it? And if you are in the second part, that I enjoy my job regardless of the adulation, popularity and the limelight, and I'm comfortable with it, you don't need to become a manager. You don't need to become a leader just because somebody else is asking you to. And I encourage all of you to have this thought process. If you are a good supporting person, do that role stronger. Be Mr. Dependable, be caring, be very functional in your role, and show results. Because if you do that job, the CEO and the CXOs do their job very well, and that's a very good place to be in your career. So enjoy these movies where there are supporting actors and they're very comfortable with it. And the only reason they're comfortable with it is because they love acting. They don't need a award to tell them that they're a great actor. They're absolutely okay with that. So if you have that feeling that I have my self-esteem, I don't need external validation to tell me I'm a good manager or a leader. And this is a title. Being a manager and leader is a title. I am still a good professional, very caring, very empathetic, very assertive, very professional, very thorough. I think you're in the right place. And these are the problems I find in the corporate world, that we are focusing on the title and the adulation and the admiration, the optics. What we are ignoring is the foundation below, which I think is the question that this gentleman asked. And my answer to that gentleman is, it is okay not to be the hero. It is okay not to be the leader. But it is absolutely critical for you to be a good professional manager, a good human being who is very caring, empathetic, and results oriented and loves the job they do. And if you do that, your sweet spot is done. And on that note, have a safe and a wonderful year ahead.